Hello everyone and welcome to another high-elo game of Age of Empires. Today we're taking out the trash units, that is, as a civilization with a notoriously terrible trash roster takes on a civilization with a notoriously cheap trash roster, with Barles playing as the Turks in blue, getting ready to duke it out with MbL playing as the Byzantines in red. Now all the players heard their herdables explore their immediate horned surroundings and try to get their butts up to Feudal Age ASAP. Not a bad time for us to take a look at the civilizational matchup, the Titanic clash. Will it be Istanbul or Constantinople that we are watching today? The Turks are a civilization built around their love of gunpowder. Their gunpowder units are created faster, they come with extra HP and cheaper technologies, and some of their gunpowder units, like their bombard towers, can be upgraded to get extra range. Now, staying on brand, their unique unit is the Janissary, a more expensive but less accurate hand cannoneer that comes with more HP, a better attack, and more armor, but no real attack bonus against infantry. Now, to support these heavy but expensive units on the field of battle, the Turks can field some pretty decent supporting units on their own right. Their scout line units come with extra pierce armor, making them absolutely fantastic at late game rating. Their cavalry archers can be upgraded to get 20 extra HP, and those scout line units I just mentioned, they actually upgrade free of charge gratis. Their scouts become light cav, their light cav become hussars upon reaching castle and imperial age, which gives Turks access to top of the line light cavalry raiding units, attacking units, whatever the heck you want to do with them units immediately when they hit those ages. Now, in order to afford their gunpowder units, which are pretty darn gold intensive, Turkish gold miners do work 20% faster than normal. They get the chemistry upgrade free of charge, which not only saves them a good amount of money, but does mean that, man, oh man, do they pack a punch. The second they hit Imperial Age, they have access to hand cannoneers, bombard cannons, bombard towers, you name it, they got it. And those free upgrades that I mentioned, where their scouts become light cav, become hussars, does actually save them 1,300 resources, 650 food, 650 gold, which is not a small savings. Now let's take a look at the opposing faction in red today, played by MbL, who, before we get into this, congratulations for joining the Taiwan AoE gamer team, Mr. MbL. Best of luck. Hopefully a long and flourishing and successful future. I believe him and Sito joined this group, this team. I'm having trouble not calling it a clan, which sounds kind of weird in 2024, but that's what we used to call them back in the day. But I'm just going to call them a team, like a sports team, because pretty much exactly what it is. So congratulations, first and foremost. But now back to Byzantines. Get what I did there? Byzantines civilization, the Rocky Balboa of this game, basically designed to take a punch to the face and still stay standing. Their structures come with progressively more HP, 10% in Dark Age, all the way up to 40% more in Imperial. Their bombard towers can be upgraded to do splash damage. They get Town Watch and Town Patrol for free, so they automatically see enemies coming from a mile away. Hey, goats, where you going? And once the battle finally does start, their monks do heal units twice as fast as normal. They can slow down enemy advances by spamming so-called trash units for days, because their skirmishers, their spearman line units, and their camel riders are all 25% cheaper. Now, their unique unit, the Cataphract, is a very heavy cavalry unit with a massive attack bonus against infantry that can take a beating with a good amount of HP and pretty strong base armor. I don't know why I'm focusing on the Turk as I'm discussing the Byzantines. My apologies. Now, when the Byzantines do finally decide to get their butts up to Imperial Age, they do only pay 2/3 the cost of doing so, which does allow them to invest their saved resources into upgrading their Cataphract even more by giving them trample damage and an even bigger attack bonus against infantry. So those are the two civilizations we've got before us. 3 militiamen wielding their very scary billy clubs are heading over to the Byzantine base. And one thing I will say, you know, in a very rare act of self-promotion, I don't think we're going to see the Cataphract, unfortunately, in this game, just because it is such a... You know what? I shouldn't say. If our Turk goes camels, which is not beyond the realm of the impossible, maybe we'll see Cataphracts, because Cataphracts, one of their super cool features is that they absorb a lot of anti-cavalry. They have anti-cavalry bonus armor. So spearman line units, camel units, anything that does damage to basically cavalry has a very tough time taking down the Cataphract. So there's a chance we may see it. I don't really expect to see it, just because the cost of upgrading it is pretty prohibitive. unless you see a mass infantry play by your opponent. But those of you who join us during the Friday night live streams, which unfortunately lately, because of my coughing and my just general sickness that I've been not feeling very great, I've been having to postpone some of these Friday night live stream. But during the last one, or second last one, I believe, one of the cool features on Twitch, which if you're not familiar, I now stream on Twitch as well. You can gain channel points and you can make me draw stuff. You can make me draw any units, any structures in the game. And so a very cool participant cat made me draw a cataphract. No pun intended there either. And I'm just going to put the picture of the cataphract. I'm very proud of it. It's not perhaps the most realistic. It's not the most perhaps true to the subject matter, but it's got heart. You know, it's got pep. It's got my emotional state invested in it. So as I'm saying this, I realize I'm not really looking at anything, but I'll add it in through Premiere Pro once I'm editing. You'll see the picture of my cataphract. And like I said, if you're not busy Friday nights, come join the live streams, because why the hell not? We discuss food and pizza and Nicolas Cage, and among other things, we also watch Age of Empires and discuss the game and units and civilizations and all that good stuff as well. Pretty damn cool community, I gotta say. And so that anyway, in any event, self-promotion over. Our Turk is pressing in with the very militarily important double bit axe upgrade. Getting got right now. No military upgrades for either player. Spearman needs to be careful, but these militias, I feel like they've been around for a while, taking a good amount of damage, despite the fact that these two have been fighting over these pretty lemon bushes with the blue butterflies for the last several minutes. Not a single unit has died yet. And now our Byzantine begins clogging up the works. Spearmen 25% cheaper. Skirmishers 25% cheaper, which doesn't sound like a lot, but at this stage of the game, 25% of, what is it, 25 wood, 35 food, 35 wood, 25 food. It's very hard for me sometimes to remember the exact. I believe 25, 35, 35, 25, if I'm not being too odd about it. 25% of that is still a decent savings. And, ooh, wait a second. Our Turk, who is having his base explored at the moment, is being pressed into here, into a bit of a corner. He is surrounded. Spearman versus militia. Oh, but it looks like... Let's see whose blood evaporates first. I don't really know who got the first kill. Their blood is evaporating at the same time, although it looks like the red blood dried up first, which means I believe it is Barles who got the first kill of the game, but MbL takes a 4-kill lead to 2, demolishing those militiamen, but he's left a spearman alive behind enemy lines. So I've been blabbing about myself, the channel, etc. Let's take a look at the actual chessboard that we're on today. Usual relic in the center of the map, but the attack path between the two bases, pretty darn clear. Lots and lots of high ground here in the center just to add that 25% extra attack. Although no Georgians, no Tatars in this matchup, so we'll see whether or not the high ground really plays a big role in any of these engagements. It kind of felt like it did here, although it's very hard to tell who got the high ground. It looks like some of these militia were on the low ground when they died, and these two spearmen on the high ground. So maybe that's how MbL managed to get 4 kills to 2. Ooh, his scout needs to be careful. Man, oh man, do I love being proven right. His scout needs to be careful, says the caster, as the scout takes 1 poke to the ass and bites the dust. Let's take a look at where their resources. Not something I usually do at the 15-minute mark, but, you know, such is life. You got to roll with the punches sometimes. Not everything goes exactly according to plan. Both primary gold and stone secured to the back, and Barles, for his part, has secured himself a nice chunk of the map, anchored, as it were, by 4 forests. Not terrible. He's got extra gold right off campus here to the left, but his tertiary gold, his secondary stone, very far in the forward position. MbL, for his part, not really walling off just yet. I'm not too sure how this wall off is going to look once it's complete. If it is, his primary stone to the back, gold, not really in the forward position, not really in the back, kind of on the side and kind of defended / protected. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of wall off this way now, and so that gold should be safe inside. Extra gold off to the top, just like Barles has here, and extra gold and stone in the forward position, just like Barles has here. Okay, so base is not terrible. MbL has 3 forests, 2, and then a giant third one whereas Barles has his 4 kind of just regular sized. And now we'll see whether or not our Byzantine can get any action, any progress. It kind of looks like they're... No, never mind. They are very much one right next to the other. I thought there might be a little bit of a gap here in this optical illusion that we call Age of Empires. Both players heading up to Castle Age, both off the back of 36 villagers. Our Byzantine has 4 times the army count. Not surprising when you take a kill lead. Not surprising when your army is all trash at the moment. And he's adding even more trash with a scout being trained. Unfortunately for him, that scout is full price. And let's see how much of this base he can discover, our Turk, as he will hit the Castle Age a few seconds ahead. He's not really responding to this incursion. We'll see what he can do. He does have some nearby villagers here that can move forward. Oh, there we go. 2 villagers moving forward. This house. If only it was a Byzantine house that gained a little bit of HP next time, 18 seconds from now. But let's see what kind of infrastructure our Turk is working with at the moment. Pretty bare bones, so no real indication which direction Barles wants to take this game militarily. Although with 608 stone, we can kind of maybe figure it out. Our Byzantine suffers from the exact opposite problem. He's got one of everything, a barracks, and archery range is stable. Even ye old blacksmith with a bit of armor here. Getting ready to be polished and whatnot. A castle. Did MbL see it? Of course he did. Shoos him away immediately. There is absolutely jack to little that this army here can do against a Turkish castle. Against any castle, really. And so is it going to be a pure... No, there's a siege workshop here too. We're going to get to see Janissaries against a civilization with a good amount of trash skirmishers. Ooh, I know there's a lion. Lion gets absolutely trained over here, but... And there you go. If you're not familiar with why red caught up with blue, it is because scouts are quicker than light cavalry. As weaker as they are, because they have less armor, they do actually move a little bit faster. And so he caught up, he poked, and down went Barles. MbL extending his kill lead 5-3, second TC for the south. And we saw Barles already has a second TC, or pardon me, MbL. Pardon me, Barles with a second TC down south. MbL already with a second TC down south. And by the way, Barles recalling home this one spearman with a good amount of line of sight, or will he stick around the relic, suspecting maybe that our Byzantine will send a scout in the hopes of getting a monk? So will it be a little bit of 40 chess here, as 2 more scouts, the ones that got that kill, are now moving forward? So he wants to get a vision. He says, you know what, if you're going to move out with anything from your castle or your siege workshop, I want to be the first to know about it. Okay, well, there you go. He knows about it in probably the worst way possible, losing a unit to castle and then exploring and finding out that your opponent has 2 mangonels. Assuming, of course, MbL had vision here. It's always a question whether or not pro players see things like that, because on the one hand, if he did have vision, why the hell did he send his scout to die? On the other hand, maybe it was all just you're the sacrificial scout, and your job, your whole purpose, your ethos for being was to die, so that the rest of your Byzantine compatriots had a little bit of line of sight. Both players with wheelbarrow, handcart getting got for our Byzantine as he loses his second and last scout, and now he is going camels. He is going monks, skirmishers, and spearmen. So MbL fully embracing the garbage man that is the Byzantine army, and basically training all 3 discounted lines of units, which means he's got a 20-10 army count lead. Kill count has been evened up, I should say, with that 1 scout kill. And okay, Barles still 7 villagers on stone, still gathering the old quarry miners, and so he's gonna place down a second castle. Not terrible, to be honest. Securing his secondary stone, tertiary gold, nice high ground castle here. Does certainly seem like a king of the hill castle. And his skirmishers begin shelling away at the mangonel. But, I mean, yeah, this is not a fight MbL really wants to take. And he knows it. And so he backs away. what's going on here. A little bit of housing for our Byzantine, who has been known to be housed before. Spearman still continuing his solitary journey in the hopes that a scout or a monk show up. Probably hoping a scout does. Ooh, skirmishers. Going a bit of a reach around here to the rear of this lumber camp area. Ooh, Barles didn't even finish the lumber camp before he got into trouble. Is this a villager kill? It does certainly look like Barles has managed to get the first vill kill of the game. If we didn't see that, we'll have caught that in picture as the siege of this town center begins. 3 mangonels. How many janissaries? 12 janissaries, or janissaries, as some of my friends south of the border would say. MbL is gathering his army. Now, this is not a terrible counter in terms of cost effectiveness against this army. If you can avoid the mangonel shots, remember the janissary has been nerfed a little bit, and so its range was reduced from 8 to 7, which means the skirmishers do have the exact same range. First mover advantage. Oh, okay. Pops out a bunch of camels. So the camels are going to go after the mangonels. The skirmishers are going to go after the janissaries. The monks are going to try to convert anything and everything. Does not have redemption, which means no conversions on those mangonels. Pardon me, he's getting redemption. And let's see how this all shapes up. Barles splits up his mangoes, 2 to the right, 1 to the left. Does pick off another skirmisher. Skirmishers are dying. Not really getting too much done except a little bit of HP damage here and there. I mean, this is a more annoying will they won't they than season 1 of The Office with Jim and Pam. 2 converted. Okay, all right, they finally do, just like in The Office with Jim and Pam. I guess they do. Camels now have to evade a 4th mangonel here, creeping to the right, left. Pardon me. I know my sides. I was gonna say sides, and it came out as sardin instead of pardon. 1 mango falls. A 2nd mango falls. A 3rd mango falls. Skirmishers are dying, but this Turkish army is getting cleaned up, and this is an expensive Turkish army to trade out. The most expensive unit here is this camel rider for our Byzantines. That being said, he doesn't seem to want to press anymore. Okay. Camels, you do save 15 gold each. Instead of the usual 60 gold, it's 45. Instead of the usual 55 food, I believe it's 40 or 41. I guess I could click. He does get the conversion on the mangonel, but unfortunately, the rocks flew as the conversion happened, and the converting monk dies to his own creation. Does Frankenstein's monster kill Frankenstein? If it did, then that's exactly what would happen. If it didn't, then ignore everything I've been saying for the last 30 seconds. 2 archery ranges to the front, the university to the back, another TC for our Turk, who, yeah, still did have those villagers on stone, which means another castle. I mean, Barles is just gobbling up high ground here. This is a game of acquire for our Turk in blue. And what is our Byzantine going to do? He is going to use that cheaper cost to go up to Imperial. They do pay the Byzantines only 667 food instead of 800, or pardon me, instead of 1,000, and instead of 800 gold, they pay 533. So it is a significant savings. And let's see, it's anytime you play against the Byzantines, you kind of have to be prepared for that quicker Imperial Age timing. It's like a sword of Damocles hanging over your head. It's like when you play against the Burgundians and you have to prepare always to have to deal with a potential Flemish revolution. That is what you have to deal with. But our Turk, not to be outdone, is only 1 minute and 5 seconds behind his opponent, going up to the next and final age. And like I said in the intro, when the Turks hit Imperial, they have, in the blink of an eye, I can't state this enough, how powerful of an early Imperial Age civ the Turks are. In the blink of an eye, you know how the Vietnamese get conscription, they start pumping out units? The Turks get immediately hussars, hand cannoneers, bombard cannons, and bombard towers. Immediately. Without having to pay for it, without having to wait for it. Chemistry is an upgrade that takes as long as Blast Furnace. It is 1 minute 40 seconds, 100 seconds, and they get that in the blink of an eye. Ooh, maybe we will see cataphracts. Oh my goodness, can you imagine? I mean, he doesn't really notice anything in the army composition here that would tell him, hey, let's go cataphracts. In the meantime, MbL, who had an army count of 8 about a second ago, is back up to 37. He is going heavy on the skirmishers. He's getting ballistics. He's getting the armor upgrades. And to feed them, he is getting heavy plow. Block printing for his monks. Let's see what our Turk does when he hits Imperial. For now, another siege workshop next to the one he already has in the forward position. We know he's got a third one. Will they pump out bombard cannons is the question. We'll have an answer in 30 seconds. But to be fair, MbL, despite 1 or 2 upgrades, is still firmly in Castle Age in terms of the army he has. 3 spearmen, although that's not really Castle Age, that's a Primordial Age. Basic camel riders, elite skirmishers. These are Castle Age units. And let's see what our Turk does. Immediately 2 bombard cannons. Okay. I'm surprised not 3. He's got the resources for it. Although maybe he doesn't want to schlep it all the way from the back over here to the forward. And here we go. The Hera surprise is going to be popping out here. And he's getting artillery. Okay. Artillery will give those bombard cannons extra range. +2. And if we're lucky enough to see some bombard towers. Now these are, I should point out also, 2 fantastic civilizations with fantastic bombard towers. One with +2 range, one with a big old fiery ball that is just amazing with the Greek fire. It's one of the most visually appealing of the unique technologies once it actually gets kicked into effect or kicks into effect. Looks like our Turk, or rather our Byzantine, did manage to get 2 Turkish villagers, but our Turk is expanding with a 4th town center to the rear. An additional 5th stable here. Will our Byzantine suss it out? He needs to. He absolutely needs to suss this out. Not too sure what happened there. Was it a conversion? Looks like a Bang & did bite the dust, and here we go. He did suss it out. So he now knows that he's about to start facing Hussars, Husbandry, Bloodlines, no attack upgrades. Oh man, I think that was the bombard cannons that got that shot, but what an absolute atrocious path to move his army. What the hell was MbL thinking? I'm trying not to cough. And down goes the last of that army group as, holy moly, those bombard cannons, 8 kills. The Bang & Ls, 7 total kills. The castles, 6 kills. I mean, that was just pretty bad. You can't sugarcoat that. As discounted as they are, they're still not free. Town center collapses, even though it does have 40% more HP than normal. At the moment, conscription. So it's not enough that your units are cheaper. Now you want to train them faster. In the meantime, MbL's gone up to 60 army count. Maybe a little bit less once these bombard cannons start having their way with this army. But here come the Hussars. +1 pierce armor again makes them fantastic at raiding. But MbL with the quick Viper-like wall off. Unfortunately for him, the bombards don't give a rat's ass about your house. Give it 1,000,000% more HP. They do not care. Camels in hot pursuit. In a minute, they will be heavies. Let's see if these 4 Hussars can get anything done. I'll highlight them. I'll keep an eye on them. For now, 0 kills. Where did the Janissaries go? They went back. Okay. One dies a virgin. Another dies a virgin. These 2 are left. A 3rd dies. Oh, the 4th one is the only one to get a kill. So, 4 Hussars for 1 villager at the 40-minute mark of the game. I'll let you decide if that's worth it. Barles needs to get the numbers up. He's at 24 army count. He's at 140 population. MbL's at 200. And he's already starting to queue up. You can't let your opponent snowball. One important thing is the army they have on the field. Another important thing is the army they have training. MbL is just training more and more and more. Upgrades are starting to get got for him as well. Bombard cannon. Take a look at that. 14 freaking range. 14 range. I believe the only bombard cannon in the game that can outrange a Crenellation's Teuton Castle. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I believe so. Even a regular bombard cannon with siege engineers doesn't outrange those. Elite Janissary and Bracer, I guess, for his castles. But again, look at the numbers. 3 times the army count means that our Turk is about to get swamped. Hussars to the north are going after the Trebs. We'll keep an eye on that with picture in picture. In the meantime, the main army, the bombard cannons, the real expensive part of this, is under attack, and there is nothing left to defend them except the castle. Where the hell are the Hussars going? They're going after the skirmishers. Not that they're going to do very well against camels, but still, castle falls. And last bombard cannon falls. Last trebuchet falls. Looks like he managed to get a few trebs up here. Did our Turk, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, he just got swamped. That's what happens when you are outnumbered 3-1 in the army count. And now there's very little our Turk is going to be able to do. This is where the Turks... Actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should. He's got 40. He doesn't have enough food for a single Hussar. Although he is trading 4 at a time. This is where the Turks' lack of trash units really comes to bite them in the butt. It looks like there is some raiding. I'm not sure that should be really the focus of the Turkish army at the moment. Maybe start defending this infrastructure. He is not letting these Hussars out of their gates, out of their pens. He's going to release them all at once. Maybe go after the Trebs, or maybe not. He's only got 4 here. 5, pardon me. His Hussars are doing some damage up north, but it looks like they are getting cleared up. And he's going straight for the Trebs. Yeah, Barles is in a situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you go after the army, the camels shred you to pieces. If you go after the Trebs, the camels shred you to pieces. You can't fight this army with Hussars. I mean, you could, but you would need about a 4-to-1 Hussar ratio, maybe a 3-to-1 Hussar ratio. The siege of the castle begins to the left. Unfortunately, our Turk, who needs gold, much like a few other civs like the Saracens, for example. Janissary comes in. Janissary dies. They need a lot of gold to maintain their very powerful army, unless they want to go full-on Hussars, and you cannot go full-on Hussars with only 6 stables, unfortunately. 52 villagers on food. He is holding well. He's got 350 stone. Unfortunately, he's going to have to spend that between 2 castles that are being attacked. His high ground castles have been destroyed, and with them go the dreams of our Turk, and Constantinople stands. And unfortunately, yeah, he just absolutely got swamped over here. And maybe he gave MbL a little bit too much time. Maybe he was trying to build up his economy a little bit too much, even though at the end of the day, his economy was smaller than his opponent. Looks like these camels were trying to get a few villager kills here. What's going on up here? Another Virgin Hussar, no kills for him. Another little bit of a side colony here. Okay, he found a little one-tiled gap where he's inserting his Hussars 1 at a time. Unfortunately, that's too little too late. Lion knows, he sniffs which way the winds are blowing, and now he's attacking the Turk as well. This is a lion that was bribed by the Byzantine government. And here we go. Lumber camp fallen, 6 kills, 1 of them a villager. And unfortunately, our Turk still has a decent amount of stone. And like I said earlier, unfortunately, he's got to spend it between 2 castles that are under attack. 2 Trebs to the north. It looks like 3 Trebs over here. And he does not have an army. His army is right here. And as cool as it is to see flags up, unfortunately, there's only 10 Hussars, 2 of them in each one. And with 52 villagers on food, or how many did he have at the end? 55. Maybe if he had another few minutes, maybe if his stables were over here, maybe if he had a few more stables over here, maybe if he had a few snow, it doesn't matter where they are, as long as they're not here, he could have stood a chance and he could have fought back. Unfortunately, how many camels are there here? 15 camels. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are incredibly weak. So some Hussars with decent armor. I don't know that armor really against that plus 18 attack bonus is really what you want. I would probably have maybe prioritized the attack upgrade, but of course not one to second guess anyone with 2700 freaking Elo. Unfortunately, the Barles just didn't have the numbers. I said it a few minutes ago. Up, they have to go. And you just can't not produce. You always have to be producing, especially when you're playing against a civilization like the Byzantines with their 25%. Basically, this entire army is 25%. And unfortunately, like as the Turks, as I mentioned, take a look at this. They don't even get pikemen. They don't get elite skirmishers. They are just up shit's creek when it comes to trash units. Now, on the flip side of that, because I know there's going to be people who say, well, what do you mean they have trash units? They have one of the best Hussars in the game. And absolutely they do. Unfortunately, the Hussar is probably the least relevant unit here on its own. I mean, I would probably rather have a whole bunch of halberdiers charging into this position, getting these camels out of the way first, than I would hussars maybe, but who knows, maybe I'm wrong. In any event, that +1 pierce armor does nothing to protect against the camel. The cool feature of having them upgrade immediately is super fun, and we saw Barles use that to decent effect, getting one villager kill. Decent, not really decent, who knows. That one villager kill with those 4 hussars that did the first penetration. Unfortunately, MbL's army is just way too freaking big. It's almost 6 times bigger. If he had 4 more army count, which by the way, he's trading 12 more camels at a time, he would literally have 6 times the army count. And our Turk just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the resources he needs. He doesn't have the availability of the units that he needs to hold us back. Now, if these 10 hussars popped out, if MbL wasn't paying attention, and if they headed this way, they could definitely get these 2 trebs before the camels would react. But that would leave these 3 trebs, one of whom is weak. In any event, it doesn't matter. If you go this way, you're screwed here. If you go this way, you're screwed here. Like I said, damned if you do, damned if you don't for Barles. And MbL takes it in grand Byzantine fashion. Look at that. Trash, trash. Not trash. Okay, let's take a look. Hussars, Janissaries. You got to support. I've said this a lot of times. Gunpowder units are so powerful, but if they're not supported properly, and that battle here was really, really bad for Barles, unfortunately. He ended up surviving with a few Janissaries. He lost all his mangonels except for one, I think, the one that was creeping from the left. Or did he? I can't even remember at this point if it died or not. But the battle he took here where he lost a significant chunk of his Janissaries was atrocious. MbL basically lost, what, like 1 or 2 monks? And a few camels? And the rest was all just skirmishers at 25% off? So, I don't know. Let's take a look at the kill count and see how well they each did. 9 minutes in, PKPM for Barles. 29 minutes in for MbL, both of them playing a more relaxed game. Economically, 4 relics for our Byzantine, adding another 1,500 gold to his pockets, which means he actually does outmine the Turk, but if you remove the gold, he doesn't, which is always fun to see. It's always fun to see civilizations with certain specific eco bonuses, like the Koreans with stone, or the Malians with gold, or the Turks with gold, and see whether or not opponents can outmine them in that specific resource. At least I find that interesting. Maybe you don't. But in any event, wood basically identical. Food a little bit extra, gold, which is the relics, and a little bit of extra stone for our Turk. So Turk takes wood and stone, and our Byzantine takes the other 2. 4 conversions to 9, 8 raisings to 6, 162 kills to 109, which is not surprising. When our Turk is fighting skirmishers, anytime you're fighting trash, you're going to kill more of it. 20 villager kills to 16. So I don't think villager kills here were really the relevant thing. I think just the relevant thing is the overwhelming number of military units that our Byzantine has. And not to belabor the point, but with that overwhelming number of units, after taking a fantastic fight here, and then absolutely swamping. Absolutely. This reminds me of that scene from Game of Thrones when Jaime and Bronn removed all of the gold from... Oh, where were they going? It was the first time, basically, you see the Dothraki and Daenerys on her dragon fighting in Westeros. And the Lannister army kind of forms up. They think they're just going to face the Dothraki. And then, of course, the dragon beautifully pops out of the clouds with the epic music. And it's one of the best scenes in the entire show. But Bronn turns to Jaime and says, "Get your ass back to King's Landing because we're about to get freaking swamped and we are all going to die." And this is exactly what that reminds me of. That army just came in, and MbL, cocksure, headstrong, went straight for the Janissaries beneath the castle. Then he chased the bombard cannons. He did lose a few trebs up here. He did lose a few skirmishers and camels, but who cares? You're training so much military. You're so much ahead of your opponent that you don't really care that much. And with that absolute overwhelming military might, it is the Byzantine who takes the W. MbL, but GG to both players.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.